Divine revelation before October 5th, 3 miraculous signs of answered prayer you'll never see again. In the heart of a quaint English village, Mary Hawkins poured her soul into nurturing her children, Lily and Ben, against the backdrop of an ancient chapel famed for its healing waters. The chapel stood as a beacon of hope, its stones whispering tales of miracles, as the faithful sought solace and strength in Father Thomas's impassioned sermons. Yet, as a storm brewed on the horizon, an unforeseen shadow loomed over their lives. Ben's critical diagnosis, a message that shattered Mary's world, but before despair could take root, the heavens opened. The first miraculous sign arrived like morning mist, a soft glow bleeding through Mary's bedroom window. There, resting on her nightstand, was a small feather, shimmering with an ethereal light. As she held it delicately in her palm, a warm rush enveloped her, igniting a spark of divine reassurance that whispered, "All will be well." The villagers, with their faith like wildfire, clutched this testament close to their hearts, sharing it like cherished bread among them in prayer. As darkness fell each evening, Mary let her voice rise to the heavens. "Saint Jude, patron of the hopeless, hear my plea," she cried, her tear-streaked face illuminated by flickering candlelight. The warmth of her community wrapped around her, each prayer lifting her spirit further. The second sign came during one of these prayer vigils. A low hum vibrated the air, an uncanny resonance that drew a hush across the gathering. Lights danced eerily around the chapel, casting a celestial glow on the villagers, fueling faith that overflowed like a wellspring within them. They found strength in stories of each miraculous healing, reminding themselves that Ben's little heart was in God's hands. Then a third and final sign materialized, the antique rosary that Mary thought lost to time, materialized by the old oak tree where she used to play as a child. The moment her fingers brushed the cool beads, a peaceful serenity blanketed her. It was as if the voices of ancestors echoed through the air, urging her to believe unwaveringly. "This is a sign," someone proclaimed, eyes glistening with hope. A pregnant pause followed, the air thick with expectation. "Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the days dwindled, Mary found herself standing at the edge of a precipice, the weight of doubt beginning to seep into her once unshakable faith. Each sign felt like a flickering candle in the vastness of night. On the eve of October 5th, Mary found herself teetering between defiance and surrender, questioning everything she had held dear. But just as despair threatened to engulf her, the community united, organized a fervent prayer session, their voices raised like a shield to the heavens. She felt the warmth of love envelop her during this sacred gathering, reminding her what it truly meant to belong. As dawn broke, a profound stillness brushed through the village, pregnant with anticipation. The weight of the moment hung heavy as Mary stood there, poised between the realms of earthly loss and divine healing. The signs, tales, and faith woven together surged towards a breathtaking climax. As she braced herself, a palpable sense of divine presence enveloped her, whispering promises of hope. Would October 5th mark the turning point, a day when miracles breathed life into her beloved Ben? Hope flickered dangerously close to despair, and as Mary held her breath, the fragile thread of faith trembled and pulsed, waiting for a resolution that just beyond the horizon. The skies held their breath, a tapestry of colors shifting from deep indigo to a gentle golden hue, as the dawn of October 5th unfurled its promise across the village. Mary Hawkins stood at her window, the chill of the morning air a stark contrast to the fervent warmth of the night prior. The prayer session had woven a thread of unity among the villagers, binding their hopes and fears into a collective tapestry of faith. In that moment, she felt both fragile and fierce. With each tick of the clock, time seemed to stretch like a rubber band, taut with expectation. Mary clasped the antique rosary tightly in her hand. The cool beads grounded her, whispering of resilient love and unyielding hope. Beneath the swells of anxiety, a small spark flickered within her, igniting the belief that God was near, observing, waiting for the right moment to unveil his glory. The chapel's doors were ajar, inviting the light to seep into its hallowed halls. Inside, the villagers gathered, each face etched with emotion, concern, anticipation, love. Father Thomas stood at the altar, his presence filled with divine authority, the flickering candles casting shadows reminiscent of a celestial glow. He caught Mary's eye and nodded gently, urging her closer. His voice, steady and heartfelt, echoed through the chapel, "Let us pray for Ben. Let us pray for miracles." A chorus of amens rose like sweet incense, enveloping them in a cocoon of faith. The wooden pews creaked beneath their earnest thrumming hearts, resonating with every muttered prayer and whispered wish. As Mary knelt, she felt the weight of the world lift, replaced by a lightness that beckoned hope like a soft breeze. Suddenly, a hush fell over the gathering. The ambient hum of the chapel shifted, and the air shimmered with the unmistakable touch of the divine. Those present felt it too, a familiar warmth coursing through the room, stirring old memories of miracles past. Eyes widened and breaths quickened as flashes of light darted between the congregation like playful spirits, igniting their hearts. In that sacred moment, Mary closed her eyes tightly, seeking clarity. "If you can bring forth the miracles I've witnessed in others, Lord, I believe." The weight of her conditional faith pressed against her heart, but she continued boldly, "I believe you can heal Ben." As if born from her cry, the atmosphere thickened with expectancy. A soft wind whispered through the open chapel doors, ruffling the pages of the hymnals. The villagers' voices began to swell, rippling through the air in song, an affirmation of unwavering belief. "Great is thy faithfulness," they sang, hearts aligned in harmony. Oh, how sweet that sound was! Engulfed in their song, Mary felt her spirit elevate, casting away the shackles of doubt that had tried to grip her heart. Then, from beneath the chapel floor, an ancient tremor arose, like echoes from the past, merging with the present. Was it her imagination, or was God stirring the very foundations of their faith? Each soul present felt an undeniable shift, a kindling of divine possibility igniting within. And at that moment, Mary vowed to accept whatever would come. Whether it was healing or heartache, she resolved to trust in the boundless love that God held for them all. As a distant clock chimed the hour, they knew their Ben would soon arrive. The community, an unwavering pillar of light, would face this day together, come what may. Amid the swell of hope, Mary wondered, could the divine mystery before them be the answer to their prayers, or was it just the beginning of an even greater journey? With hearts aligned, they stood on the precipice of the miraculous. What awaited them was yet to be unveiled. The chapel doors swung wider, opening to the breath of morning that carried a promise anew. The villagers, now intertwined in a web of faith and hope, looked toward the horizon with expectancy, each of them surrendering their heartfelt prayers to the heavens above. As the sun climbed higher, it cast golden rays that danced upon the stained glass, illuminating the faces of those gathered, creating a living kaleidoscope of belief. Mary's heart swelled as the song of her people rang like a heavenly symphony. The notes soared, wrapping around her like a warm embrace. Each voice, a thread woven into the fabric of their community, resonated with unyielding conviction. They sang for Ben, a name that echoed with meaning, each utterance carrying their collective fear, love, and desperation. Father Thomas, standing firm at the altar, raised his hands, cupping the air as if inviting the very Spirit of God to descend upon them. "Dear friends," he began, his voice rising above the melody, "we are witnesses to a moment that transcends this earthly realm. A moment where our faith ignites the impossible." The congregation leaned in, their eyes sparkling with the reflection of divine promise, their hearts beating in unified rhythm. What we seek may not come through our own understanding. But in this space, we open ourselves to the wonders that God can perform, he continued, each word stirring something deep within Mary. As he spoke, an unexpected hush swept through the room, enveloping them in a profound stillness. Mary felt something thickening in the air, a weight of anticipation that pressed tenderly against her chest. With each inhale, she could taste the sweetness of hope intermingled with a subtle urgency, and she grasped her rosary tighter. The villagers sensed it too. Whispers flowed through the chapel like a gentle breeze carrying secrets. They glanced around, wide-eyed and breathless, as if the air was pregnant with miracles waiting to burst forth. Then, without warning, a beam of light broke through the stained glass, showering the altar in a cascade of vibrant colors that shimmered like a promise fulfilled. Gasps rose from the crowd, and Mary, struck with awe, felt tears pooling at the corners of her eyes. This light wasn't merely a beautiful phenomenon, it was a divine reassurance, a sign that they were not alone, their prayers not unheard. "Look!" someone shouted, pointing upwards. The villagers turned, their gazes drawn to the new arrival, a tall, weather-beaten figure entering the chapel. It was Ben himself, supported by a familiar friend. The energy shifted in the room, and a collective breath was held. Mary felt like her heart might leap from her chest. Could this be the answer they had all prayed for? But as Ben stumbled forward, his face marked with pain and struggle, a wave of uncertainty washed over her. Healing could take many forms. Was this moment truly a miracle or simply a first step toward great change? Father Thomas stepped down from the altar, his face illuminated by the light that had enveloped them earlier. He reached out, beckoning Ben forward with open arms filled with grace. "You are home, dear brother. Your journey does not end here, it is merely the beginning. We are all here for you." Mary, her spirit trembling with emotion, felt her voice rise as if in spontaneous prayer. "May God wrap his arms around you, Ben, and heal you completely. Let us be vessels of his love." A chorus of amens mingled with her words. In that sacred moment, all doubt fell away, replaced by the power of community and faith. The tension in the atmosphere shifted, charged with possibility. Yet, beneath the surface of fervent belief, questions bubbled. What was God's true intention? Was this the miracle they sought, or a different kind of blessing altogether? As the villagers surrounded Ben, enveloping him with their love, Mary pondered, would their faith be tested in unexpected ways? Her heart full, she felt the winds of God's purpose stirring. With resolve, she whispered a prayer for wisdom and understanding, knowing they were on the edge of something monumental. The journey had only just begun. The air was thick with emotion as Ben stumbled forward, nestled in the embrace of worried yet hopeful villagers. Each face reflected a mixture of relief and concern, a reminder of the battle they had fought together. Mary, still clutching her rosary, felt a sense of urgency bubble within her. Ben's return was nearly a miracle, yet there was something unspoken in his expression, a silent question lingering in the space between them. "Ben!" A voice called from the back of the chapel. It was Sarah, his sister, her eyes wide and shimmering with tears. She rushed forward, pushing through the throng to wrap her arms around him tightly. "You're here. Thank God you're here." Mary watched as the community swirled around them, enveloping Ben with affection, healing prayers weaving into the fabric of their gathering. But at that moment, she felt a stillness wash over her, pulling her focus inward. In that quiet space of reverence, Mary shut her eyes, allowing the warmth of the sunbeam filtering through the stained glass to embrace her. "Lord," she breathed softly, "what is it you want to teach us through Ben's return?" The question hung in the air, as if awaiting an answer. Perhaps it was not just about Ben, but about each soul in the room, each heart tethered to the hope of healing. With her eyes still closed, a vision unfolded in Mary's mind. She saw a tapestry, the strands vibrating with color and movement. Some threads were vibrant and golden, while others were dark and frayed. The shadows clashed against the light, yet together they formed a magnificent whole, a collective story of struggles, victories, and faith that transcended individual experiences. "Each life is interwoven, Lord," she whispered. "We are not alone. We reflect one another's burdens." Just then, Ben lifted his gaze, and for a moment, their eyes locked. In his gaze, she could see the depths of his struggle, but also the glimmer of resilience shining through. It felt like a silent promise exchanged between them. That moment ignited something within her, sparking a flame of hope that flickered brightly, even amidst uncertainty. Father Thomas, sensing the power of the moment, stepped forward again, his voice soothing yet commanding. "Dear ones," he began, "we may not comprehend why some prayers seem unanswered, but let us remember our strength lies not merely in the miracle but in the love that binds us." Mary felt the electric energy ripple through the chapel as the congregation responded with nods of agreement. "Yes, Lord. We trust in your timing." Came echoes from various corners, voices layered over one another like a sweet symphony. Ben, with faltering steps, turned to face them. "I'm here," he murmured, his voice cracking, "but I need you all just as much as you need me. I've seen darkness, friends, and I need your light." Tears streamed down Sarah's cheeks, her strength unyielding. "Then let us be your light, Ben. We will walk this journey together." As the villagers joined hands in a circle, Mary felt a rush of warmth wash through her. The air vibrated with the collective heartbeat of faith, enveloping Ben like a fortress. It was a humble offering, yet one that crackled with divine potential. In that cherished circle, prayers loomed larger than the fears stifling their hearts. A sparkle of hope shimmered in the room, blending with the vivid light dancing upon the altar. Mary felt God's presence. He was in the prayers, in their unity, in the sacred space they had nurtured, yet, the questions remained. What lay ahead? Would Ben's healing be immediate, or would it unfurl gradually? With each passing moment, she sensed the urgency deepening. There was more yet to be revealed, and she longed for clarity. As they bowed their heads, surrendering their prayers to the heavens, a gentle breeze swept through the chapel, rustling the pages of the open Bible perched on the altar. It seemed to whisper a reminder of God's ineffable wisdom. "May our eyes be opened, Lord," Mary whispered once more. "Show us the way." And in that sacred hush, amidst the collective breaths, the future loomed, shrouded in mystery and anticipation. What wonders awaited them beyond this moment? Unbeknownst to her, the true miracle was just beginning. The circle pulsed with a rhythm softer than the whispers of the wind outside, each heart echoing the same prayer. The warmth wrapped around Ben like a cloak, creating a sanctuary in the midst of uncertainty. Mary stood still, her eyes still resting on Ben, drawn deeper into the tapestry of emotions weaving his story into her own. With the beating hearts of the villagers surrounding them, Father Thomas raised his hands before the altar, his expression earnest. "Let us call upon the Holy Spirit, who intercedes for us with every groan too deep for words." His voice resonated, and Mary felt that sacred truth surge through her. "Come, Holy Spirit," the congregation responded, their voices uniting as one, reaching towards the heavens. In that moment of unity, Mary felt the air shift. It was as if heaven peeled back a layer of fabric, revealing a glimpse into the divine plan. A wave of peace flooded over her, cleansing her spirit. In the midst of the throngs, she saw it, a small flicker of light hovering near Ben, illuminating all it touched. "Look!" someone gasped, pointing towards the altar. The villagers turned in unison, eyes wide with wonder. The light, a brilliant golden hue, began to swirl, dancing amidst the prayerful atmosphere. Mary's breath caught in her throat as she felt the presence of God drawing near, as if they were no longer just in a chapel but in a sacred space between worlds. "Your prayers have been heard," shouted Father Thomas, his spirit ignited by the heavenly sight. "This is the sign we seek, a reminder of his promise." Tears flowed freely now, and Mary couldn't help but join in the tide of emotion washing over them. Each tear felt like a release, a catharsis of longing and hope, dissolving the barriers that had held them captive. Ben looked around, a dawning realization crossing his features. This is what I needed. The light, it warms me. It tells me I'm not lost." His voice trembled, each word embroidered with newfound hope. Mary squeezed Sarah's hand tightly, knowing this was just the beginning. Yet, there was still a fog lingering, echoing the unspoken fears within the room. What would this miracle ask of them? How would their lives be reshaped? "Will you stand with me, Ben?" she called out suddenly, her heart racing. "Will you help guide us, even as we help you?" He looked at her, then at the villagers gathered around, their collective energy radiating compassion and understanding. "Together we walk," he finally responded, his voice gaining strength, "for as long as it takes." The light danced more vibrantly now, illuminating the faces of those who had persevered, igniting sparks of faith that had long lain dormant. Shivers of anticipation threaded through the fabric of their community. What profound transformations awaited them, but just as Father Thomas began to speak once more, a sudden gust of wind cut through the chapel, extinguishing the flicker of golden light. Gasps reverberated, fear and confusion sweeping across the congregation. Mary felt her heart drop. "Do not be afraid," Father Thomas called out, his voice echoing against the holy walls. "God's presence is not confined to light. We must trust in His unseen hand." But unease settled like a weight in the room. The shadows seemed darker now, a stark contrast to the ephemeral glow that had lifted their spirits moments before. Mary looked at Ben, who stood resolutely, yet she sensed an internal battle brewing within him. What moment of divine revelation awaited them, hidden in the next turn of their path? Would faith bear fruit through shadows, or the light that only flickered just beyond their reach? As they bowed their heads once more, praying into the thick uncertainty, Mary couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the start of something wondrous but also something deeply challenging. How would they navigate the uncharted waters ahead? And what awaited them on the other side? The wind's chill clung to the walls, a stark reminder of the frailty of their surroundings. For a moment, silence enveloped the chapel, heavy with the weight of unsaid fears. The flicker of the light might have vanished, but within each soul, a spark remained, flickering with life and hope. Mary's heart raced. She tightened her grip on Sarah's hand in solidarity, drawing strength from their bond. Each breath rang like a drum, steadying her tumultuous thoughts as she centered her focus on what lay before her. As she peered into Ben's eyes, she found there an ember of resolve kindled by the experience, a reflection of their shared challenge. Father Thomas stood still, unwavering against the rising tide of doubt. "What we just experienced may feel fleeting," he began, his voice calm against the chaotic winds, "but trust that God still moves in our hearts. In darkness, His light may not always be visible, yet His presence guides us. It demands our faith, even when wrapped in uncertainty." The villagers began nodding in quiet agreement, their belief rekindling amidst a trembling fear. Mary felt this reassurance washing over her like a warm embrace, deepening her resolve to support Ben and the community in their journey. "Let us not find comfort only in the light," Father Thomas continued, "but also in the shadows. For it is in the depths of our struggles that we often encounter the true nature of God's grace." He then invited the congregation to join hands once again. The air buzzed with a gentle energy, weaving the threads of unity among them. As their palms met, a warmth transcended through the circle. Ben hesitated for just a moment before reaching out, and when his fingers brushed against Mary's, a spark ignited or perhaps a connection rediscovered. "Together, we face the unknown," Mary said, her voice steady, breaking through the lingering unease. "Let us trust that every shadow we walk through leads us closer to His promise." A murmur of agreement rose among them, a mutual understanding ignited by the fervor of shared faith. The flickering shadows might cast doubts, yet within the heart of each individual lay a profound power to transcend despair. Suddenly, out of the stillness, a soft sound emerged, gentle as the first notes of a hymn. It pulsed through the chapel, weaving into their spirits, a reminder that prayers would echo back to them. The villagers exchanged glances, uncertainty fluttering before giving way to hope. "Do you hear that?" Ben whispered, his voice still strong. It was as if their very souls responded, heartbeats creating an anthem of unity, a symphony that would not be silenced. Mary looked around, tears stinging her eyes as warmth enveloped her heart. This was no ordinary gathering. Father Thomas seized the moment, his face illuminated by an unseen light that shimmered in their hearts. "Let us sing. Let our voices rise and resonate with the promises of our faith." With renewed vigor, they began to sing, hesitant at first, but the melody soon thrummed with life, lifting them closer to the heavens. Each note soared like an offering, a tribute to the divine. The chapel transformed as their voices mingled, shimmering with hope, knitting them into a tapestry of praise amidst a backdrop of uncertainty. Yet, as the verses carried on, Mary felt a pull, a whisper in her heart. What if the darkest struggles reveal the brightest miracles? The thought lingered like a gentle tapping, urging her forward into uncharted waters. As the last note lingered in the air, echoing a promise yet to be fulfilled, Mary took a deep breath. What trials lay ahead? What greater truths awaited them beyond the shadows? What awaited them next? The questions lingered like the fading melody, urging them all to venture deeper into the mysterious realms of faith. In that pivotal moment, they might just uncover what God intended for them beyond the darkness ahead. The vibrant echoes of their song began to fade, yet the energy within the chapel seemed to swell, as if the very walls held on to their hopes and fears. Mary felt the collective heartbeat of the villagers reverberating through each whispered prayer, each shared glance. It was a wave of faith crashing against doubt, propelling them into the unknown. But then, amidst the warmth of shared devotion, a heavy silence fell again. Father Thomas stood silently, his eyes surveying the congregation. The mood shifted subtly, the air thickening with unspoken questions. Each face turned expectantly toward him, seeking guidance, eager for answers to the personal battles they carried. Sometimes, we wish for signs, for blatant proof that our prayers are heard, he began softly. His voice was filled with a comforting authority that wrapped around them like a cloak. But often, it is the stillness that beckons the most profound revelations. Ben shifted slightly beside Mary, his brow furrowed. What do you mean? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper, as if the very act of speaking might shatter the fragile atmosphere. In stillness, we find clarity. In quiet, we can hear God's whisper, Father Thomas replied, his eyes glistening with wisdom. The miracles may not always be flashy or loud, yet they are never absent. They often come in small, deliberate gestures through hearts that forgive, hands that uplift, and prayers that bind us together. Mary felt an inexplicable peace wash over her. She closed her eyes, trying to visualize the miracles that might appear through her mundane days. Every act of kindness, every moment of understanding, seemed like a stepping stone leading her closer to God's heart. Perhaps it was the tender smile of a neighbor or the warmth of laughter shared amidst sorrow. The miracles were present, waiting to be recognized. Father Thomas continued, as we stand on this precipice, faced with the unknown, consider this: what if God is using our struggles to prepare us for His blessings? A murmur of contemplation swept through the group. Mary opened her eyes to see familiar faces lit with understanding. Sarah, beside her, nodded slowly. Even the shadows seemed less daunting now, infused with the light of possibility. Every now and then, Father Thomas lifted his hands. God reminds us that our prayers are active, alive. He aims to strengthen not just our faith but our ability to see through the haze of despair. He paused, allowing the weight of those words to settle, then added, we shall embark on a journey now, a divine quest to witness these signs. It won't always be easy, and doubt may still cast its shadow, but we must be willing to trust. Mary felt something shift within her. The tiny spark ignited into a flickering flame of anticipation. What signs awaited? What miracles would unfold as they navigated this uncertain path? Ben squeezed her hand, his eyes gleaming with purpose. Together, we'll witness them, he affirmed, as though consolidating a vow. Nods of agreement rippled through the chapel once more, bodies aligning with renewed determination. Each heart began to beat a little faster, anticipating what was to come. Let us step forth, Father Thomas urged, and seek the signs He has prepared for us. We might have to wade through shadows, but we must hold tight to our faith in each other. With that, they stepped out of their circles, hearts ready for the miracles God was about to unveil. An electric excitement fluttered through Mary as she moved closer to the chapel door. What if each day held the whisper of a miracle waiting to be unwrapped? The thought lingered like the aroma of fresh bread, warm and inviting. As the congregation spilled out into the world, ready to embrace the coming days, the question hung in the air like a promise. What would they discover on their journey, and how would they recognize God's hand amidst the chaos of life? As the congregation poured out into the fresh air, the world outside felt alive, sparkling with possibility. Mary took a deep breath, inhaling the mingling scents of damp earth and blooming flowers. The village around her transformed into a canvas, painted with expectation. "Where do we start?" Ben asked, his voice bright yet full of wonder. His presence beside her felt like a steadfast anchor in the swelling tide of their renewed faith. "Maybe we should look within, and among us," Mary suggested. The thought struck her like a bell ringing in the stillness. Each interaction they had was a chance to witness the divine. Just a few steps in, they met Mrs. Johnson, whose frail frame had been leaning heavily on her walking stick. Her smile creased the corners of her eyes, deep and rich like the folds of an ancient tapestry. "Hello, dears," she greeted, her voice soft yet buoyant. "Have you heard about the community gathering in the square this evening?" "Yes, we have," Ben replied, his enthusiasm infectious. "What is going on, Mrs. Johnson?" "Oh, just a simple potluck," she chuckled, though the twinkle in her eyes told another story. "But it's also a chance for us all to come together, to share our hopes and perhaps, our prayers?" Mary interrupted gently, her heart quickening. Mrs. Johnson's eyes sparkled like stars in the dusk. "Exactly. Sometimes, miracles happen in sharing our burdens, don't you think?" They exchanged smiles, understanding that miracles dwell among the ordinary, in the spaces where stories intertwine. As they continued down the winding path, Mary reflected on that moment. What began as a mere gathering was turning into a tapestry of connection, woven with the threads of shared faith and love. Further ahead, they spotted young Jamie, who was known for his relentless spirit even in the face of his illness. Today, he was painting flowers onto stones, colors radiant against the dull backdrop of the earth. "Look at this!" he exclaimed as they approached, holding out a vibrant rock decorated with bright dabs of red and yellow. "It's beautiful, Jamie." Mary beamed, kneeling beside him. "What does it mean?" "It reminds me of the sunshine," he said, eyes shining with childlike hope. "When I'm outside playing or walking, I feel God's love, even when it's hard." Tears pricked at the corners of Mary's eyes. In that moment, Jamie's joy encapsulated a truth they were all beginning to recognize: amid struggles, God's presence blossoms like flowers in spring. "Jamie, your gift is a miracle," Ben proclaimed, admiration spilling from his heart. As they left Jamie's side, Mary found herself yearning to witness more moments like that. The familiar faces around her, each carrying their burdens, seemed to shine brighter now. Each story, a stepping stone toward a new understanding of faith. The sun began its descent, casting a blanket of gold over the village. They arrived at the square, where laughter and chatter mingled with the aroma of delicious food. Families were gathering, each one a testament to the power of togetherness. "Tonight could be our sign," Mary whispered to Ben, anticipation bubbling inside her. He nodded, squeezing her hand. "Let us share, let us listen, let us pray. There is power in our unity." As they stepped into the crowd, a wave of warmth enveloped them. The laughter, the sharing, the prayers, they all melded into a symphony of faith lifting up to God. It was a promise of connection, a divine tapestry woven through experience. But as they settled in a circle, ready to embrace the night, a thought lingered at the back of Mary's mind: would they recognize the signs when they appeared? The evening stretched before them, whispering of wonders yet to come. What revelations awaited in the warmth of shared faith? And who among them might be the next to experience God's grace? The question hung in the air, as alive as the warm glow from the lanterns illuminating the square. The square buzzed with excitement, filled with bright tables heaped high with dishes. The fragrant air seemed to dance around them, inviting laughter and stories to mingle. Mary tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear, her heart alive with connection. She and Ben began to greet familiar faces as they joined the ever-growing circle. "Mary." "Ben." called out Lucy, a young woman known for her laughter. She waved them over excitedly, balancing a tray of golden brown pastries. "You must try these. They're filled with hope and apple." "Oh, we wouldn't miss them for the world," Ben grinned, taking one and offering it to Mary. She bit into the flaky pastry, the sweetness bursting in her mouth. "This is delightful," she exclaimed, her eyes shining. Just then, a soft melody floated through the air, a guitar strumming gentle chords. Jamie had joined a few friends, forming a small group under the twinkling lights. They began to sing a beloved hymn, voices weaving together like the threads of a beautiful tapestry. Mary's heart soared with each note, feeling the shared devotion wrap around them like a warm blanket. "Have you ever seen anything so beautiful?" she whispered to Ben. He nodded, tears glistening in his eyes. "Feeling God's presence here is like being surrounded by sunshine," he said, squeezing her hand. As the music faded, Mrs. Johnson stood up, her presence commanding yet gentle. "Everyone, may I have your attention, please? Tonight, as we gather in fellowship, I encourage each of you to share a prayer or a story. There is something powerful about voicing our hopes together. They become seeds and can sprout into miracles." The crowd quieted, anticipation filling the air. As people began to speak, stories emerged, tales of trials, triumphs, and how faith had gently nudged them through life's twists. Each word was a spark igniting the hearts around them. A man named Mr. Roberts stood, his voice trembling yet firm. "A year ago, I was lost in my despair. My wife prayed for me every single day until one morning, I woke up with a sense of purpose. It was like a light lifted me from the shadows, and now I'm involved in helping others find their way." Cheers erupted, and a wave of encouragement rippled through the crowd. "See? Just look at what God is doing here." Mrs. Johnson clapped her hands, her spirit igniting the hearts all around. Then, it was Mary's turn. As she stepped up, her stomach fluttered with nerves, but she felt Ben's steadfast presence beside her. "I believe that hope spreads through our shared faith. Like flowers blooming in spring, when one of us flourishes, we all do." The congregation nodded, understanding the truth in her words. "Lately, I've felt God pushing me to speak more openly about my struggles. I realize now that being vulnerable is part of my journey. Each burden shared is a burden lessened, a form of grace." The crowd murmured in agreement, a collective understanding washing over them. With that, the warmth of connection deepened, and whispers filled the square. Stories kept flooding in, each one like a vibrant stroke on a large canvas of faith. The atmosphere crackled with the promise of divine encounters waiting to unfold. As darkness settled in, a hush fell when Jamie's voice rang out again. "Can we pray together?" His innocence silenced all, reminding them of the grace that binds their family. They bowed their heads, hands clasped tight. Mary felt the goodness of God enveloping them all, filling the space with an indescribable warmth. Suddenly, a faint glow pulsed at the center of the square, a shimmering light weaving through the darkness. Murmurs of surprise filled the air, eyes wide with awe. A feeling of expectancy swept over them as they gasped, wondering what was unfolding. What could this radiant glow signify? Would it reveal a wonder yet unknown? As they stood, breathless, the night whispered of divine revelations just around the corner. What awaited them next in this extraordinary tapestry of faith? As the shimmering light floated gently above the gathered crowd, it felt like the whole village breathed as one. Eyes sparkling with awe, hands clasped in prayer, Mary couldn't shake the feeling that God was threading their stories together in a profound way. The flickering glow danced like a flickering promise, vibrant and intimate, reaching out to touch each heart waiting beneath it. "Can you feel it?" Ben whispered, his voice tinged with wonder. "It's as if the very air is alive with possibility." Mary nodded, her spirit alight with anticipation. The gentle glow pulsed, and in that moment, she felt the shared yearning of the community, a longing so deep it resonated through the very ground they stood on. Mrs. Johnson, filled with reverence, lifted her head high and declared, "Let our voices rise. Let the sound of our faith echo through the night. With that, the villagers began to sing, an impromptu chorus emerging as notes intertwined like ribbons of praise. Be thou my vision, O Lord of my heart, each voice soared, mingling in a beautiful tapestry of sound that reverberated through the crisp night. The luminescent light flickered in time with their hearts, matching the tides of worship, wrapping each seeker in divine warmth. Then, the unexpected happened. The light began to descend, moving gently like a feather caught in a soft breeze. As it drifted closer, Mary could see something shimmering within it more than just light. It held the weight of answered prayers. People gasped, tears spilling down cheeks, and laughter surged like a river of joy, their hearts brimmed with love and unity. God's glory is unfolding, Father Thomas proclaimed, his voice strong and steadfast. The gravity of his words resonated in the collective hearts of the congregation, binding them together in an unshakable promise. In our gathering tonight, we have witnessed hearts unveiled, burdens shared, and prayers intertwined. This is a miracle of community, a testament to the divine hand at work. Mary felt the thrill of recognition race through her. It wasn't just a singular miracle, it was a communion of miracles, each one stemming from the grace passed between them. Each shared story, each prayer uttered under the moonlight, opened doorways for God to move through them, transforming their village into a sanctuary of hope. As the glowing light morphed and shifted like a living being, each villager was beckoned to step forward. The soft illumination reached for them, finding those who needed it most. Jamie stepped up first, eyes wide with courage. God's love is like a blanket that wraps around us, he said, his small voice ringing clear. The village collectively leaned in, absorbing the profound truth carried on the young boy's shoulders. Mary watched Ben, who stepped forward next, his voice wavering but resolute. I've been changed by your faith. He looked around, meeting the eyes of his neighbors. Each of you has carried me, and now I choose to walk with you, hand in hand, into the light. A wave of emotion washed over the crowd as they erupted into cheers, the air thick with gratitude. Mary felt her own heart swell. She realized that they were all interconnected, like the branches of a tree bearing fruit together. In witnessing each other's struggles, they had uplifted one another, together they had become the hands and feet of grace. The light pulsed again, this time radiating warmth that seeped into every crevice. As it spun, it began to shimmer with colors of every shade. Let us remember, Father Thomas said firmly, his arms wide, that each of us carries a spark of that light. Together as a community, we light each other's paths. In that moment, something shifted. The villagers held hands in a great circle, their hearts stitched together by faith as the restless winds calmed. We have each other, Mary whispered, feeling the solid warmth of kinship flow through them. Their futures were still shrouded in mystery, but hope rippled through the air like a promise, a living manifestation. As the night deepened, laughter bubbled like a soft brook, carrying away doubt and despair. Miracles awaited them not just in the glow above, but deep within their shared hearts, waiting to be birthed from acts of love, kindness, and vulnerability. They were leaves fluttering in the autumn breeze, each vulnerable, yet resilient, beautifully dancing together. As they departed the square, the exquisite light remained, a reminder of the divine presence among them. Together, we shall walk this path, Mary said, squeezing Ben's hand tightly. Together, we'll keep seeking the signs, sharing our joys and fears. With the moon bearing witness, they ventured into the night, hearts alight with faith, ready for the wonders yet to unfold. Now, dear friends, this is the moment for you to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel and don't miss the next exclusive stories of faith that will uplift your spirit. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help more souls find these incredible messages. Comment below and share your reactions and testimonies about this powerful ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation. Only true servants of God understand the importance of supporting the channel. Don't wait even one more second. Your actions can light the way for others.